Start chanting Om within without producing sound. As you inhale, internally chant Om. As you exhale, internally chant Om. With every inhalation, Om. With every exhalation, Om. Dive deep more and more. Listen the sound of Om within as you inhale and exhale. Chant Om within. Pay full attention to your breath. As you inhale, chant Om. As you exhale, chant Om internally. Now remove attention from your breath. Don't pay attention to your breath and simply chant Om within. No attention to breath. Simply chanting Om and listening its sound. Slowly come back to your breath. Feel your breath is coming in and going out. Allow your palms. Place on your face, eyes. Very slowly open your eyes. Very slowly, not forcing eyes to open immediately. Okay. You may. This was the simple exercise for today, and we'll go a little further tomorrow. So, was there any difficulty in doing this? Share with me.
It's difficult to concentrate when you say that without chanting. I mean, it's easy to focus when we are chanting Om, it's very easy to focus. Whereas a lot of stray thoughts keep coming in the mind when you stop altogether. So it's a little bit difficult, I think. As
No, when thoughts come, then you see, okay, thoughts are coming. But my job is to look at the breath coming, chanting Om, going. So, thoughts will
keep on
come.
reminding ourselves that
Yes,
okay,
yes,
on
yes.
the breath,
Yeah.
go on.
If mind gets attached to thought, then take it back.
Yes. For
That
little
has to
time
be
it
done.
keeps on
Yeah,
going up.
they will be coming, no doubt. Thought will come, some sounds from here and there coming, distracting the
Suddenly we reach
mind.
somewhere, I mean, elsewhere, and then we have to retract ourselves.
Yeah.
Come back.
How you felt? It's okay.
It gives us a light feel.
Of course
For
it will
me,
give.
I was not comfortable doing Vastrika.
Mhm.
I was using some other method.
Vastrika?
Vastrika.
Okay.
So this is not comfortable for me. The moment I started doing, I started pain over here.
Okay,
So I stopped.
okay. How you used to do, Vasrika? How you used to do?
My way.
Okay. That can also be done.
The same thing I tried without raising my hands,
Okay, okay.
but I couldn't do it
Okay.
nicely.
Initially it is trained in this way only.
Yeah.
So tomorrow you can do in this way.
So
I
I
like-
don't know why here this point, some
See-
sharp pain.
Sharp pain. No, what happens? Lot of energy imbalance is there in our pranamaya posture. So when we do Vasrika, some corrective measures start taking place. In some places there is depletion of energy, in some places excessive energy is there. So when these corrections are made, sometimes you feel the sensation which mind interprets as pain. But it is for the good. It will go away. Still it is there?
No.
Yes,
And
it has
the
gone.
moment I stopped and after a few minutes.
Yeah. It will. So tomorrow you practice like that only. The aim of pranayama, apart from therapeutic benefits that Vasrika has, that it removes lethargy, it gives very good exercise to the bronchias, to the lungs, it fills you with the oxygen, it's oxygen therapy, it removes the carbon dioxide from the system, toxins move away. apart from this therapy, it helps you to withdraw inside. It makes senses such that they stop looking outside, but not fully, at least partially. Partial withdrawal is there. But if higher sound wave comes, then it goes to the brain center, mind is free, so it gets rested. It is like this. Everything has a very technical method, Patanjali. That's why to a mind is free, so it will be distracted. So some sound is given. Okay, you chant Om or Japa. Something is given, so it can be connected there. Go on repeating. And I will be explaining few more secrets as Patanjali reveals in other sutras. But for the beginning, did you feel that okay, it takes little bit inside, makes senses partially withdraw? Is this the feeling today?
Especially with hands.
Pardon?
Hands and movements.
Yeah,
and
the
that
sensation is like you don't feel.
feel, yeah. Especially for the hands. and
Especially
the
the
hands.
Hands means I could not follow what you are saying.
So when we were doing the Omkar chanting,
Okay.
I felt like, there's no movements.
Okay, there is no movement here. You felt also.
Yeah. I mean, I actually didn't even, to a point where only after, like, oh, my finger, I'm in the Janmatra, I didn't even feel that
They are
this
there.
even exists.
Yeah, so
And
this
a
is
lot of
the.
parts of me where just don't
Yeah.
exist.
Only we were concentrating the breath.
Yeah, because this touch is also a sense. So withdrawal of sense becomes complete only when you forget the body.
Yeah.
So that is a very high stage when you don't feel your body. Complete withdrawal is when eyes, ears, smell, touch, all these senses withdraws from receiving external inputs. Okay. So touch of hair is also not felt. So you go so deep, then the surgery, the operation, the installation of new software, the whole process, then it is done. It is like this.
I had a bit of a unique experience today in
Yeah.
a nice way. For the Om chanting, when you said chant in your mind, I felt very peaceful, and I did the Om chanting. After that, I stopped, and I didn't realize there was no thought. It was
Great.
just a very blissful state. And then I realized I'm supposed to chant Om in my mind, and I started doing it again. But it was very peaceful.
Yeah. In fact, next step was that only, that you stop chanting.
Yes,
And
I
remain
stopped
without-
chanting Om mentally,
yeah,
but
so it
there
happened.
was no thought in my mind.
Very
which
nice.
is impossible. Normally I have some thought, but today there was absolutely no thought.
So you must have felt very relaxed
Very
and
relaxed.
blissful.
Yeah, very relaxed.
See what happens, our body and mind, these are the parts of the machine. This is gross, that is finer. Mind is finer, but it's gross. But these different organs, systems, they from since birth, they are working and working day and night. They don't stop. Even if you are sleeping, whole body is working. Maybe at low pace, but they are working. They are never dead. Similarly, mind. It goes on working. Only during deep sleep, which is of 1 hour, 2 hours, which we get in the night, it gets stopped there. That's why all rejuvenation, power to work next day comes. Otherwise, if you sleep for a day, next day it is very difficult to work because the coordination goes away of the different organs, mind, thought, this and that. When you do pranayama, what is happening? After the one exercise, say Vastrikar Kapalbhati, for 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, there is a cessation of breath. this is the greatest relief to this organ, respiratory system. Otherwise, whole life it goes on working. A small pause is wonderful, because again yoga is being practiced by hardly 10% of the people of the world. Rest 90% lungs don't know any rest in the life. This is rejuvenation. Similarly, the stopping of the thought is a great energy booster to the mind. Rejuvenation. And the effect is more. In deep sleep, if you sleep for 2 hours, in deep sleep, what effect you get? You get in 2-3 minutes, no thought state. Because it is in the waking, in the conscious state you are doing this. So these things are very technically, scientifically sound practices. So my effort is, along with the theory of Patanjali, we will be practicing method also, as per him. And he is very scientific. See, if you read Gyan Yoga, that is also a path, very perfect path. But that is of thought only, reasoning, and then you reach to some experience. Whereas Raj Yoga is a path in which you have to do certain practices, well thought of practices, calibrated, fully measured. And it is just like that, as anyone can run the computer, so anyone can achieve the results through these practices of Raj Yoga. It is very simple. You have to learn to sit in the asana and do the pranayama, giving rest to the important organs of the body, then withdrawal of the senses taking place, then entering into dharana, dhyana and samadhi. Samadhi is the superconsciousness. There are layers in the superconsciousness also. After reason, you enter the superconsciousness, but superconsciousness has also gradations. So there are layers in the enlightenment. That is what I was telling you. So gradations. Normally all the big people, gurus, they are in the superconsciousness to a certain level. To us they are very big. But there are number of gradations, and the avataras like Ramakrishna Paramahansa or Patanjali, they reached the ultimate. They were, there is a difference in our system of thought. There are incarnations and there are gurus. Incarnations are only worshipped. Gurus are paid full respect, but Ishta is always incarnation. And system was so ripe earlier, traditionally, that every family had a Ishta Kuladevta, Ishta of the whole family. So they knew, so the person who is taking birth knows where I am going, because he had the same Ishta in the previous years. He will not enter in other group. It was so systematically and scientifically planned here. Now everything is gone. But still there are gurus who can tell you who is your Ishta. By looking at you, reading inside, in previous verse, were there any Ishta you worshipped, you took as Ishta Devata? Someone is having Hanumanji, some Krishna, Radhaji, something like that. If it is there. If not there, then it's okay. You can have the new, you can start from here now. I remember one very real incident. I was reading reminiscences by one of the disciples of Swami Vivekananda. So Swami Vivekananda, after returning from the America, he became so famous that people used to reach every day to him. But you will always see in the really enlightened persons the quality that they are never confined to the comfort zone. They never create mystic aura. If there is mystic aura, means they pretend to be someone mystic, some chamatkar, just bow down to them and walk away. So, he used to sit anywhere on the ground or anything under the trees, or anybody can come and meet him. Even Gandhiji went to see him barefooted. Okay, today I will have his darshan. But Swamiji was not there on that day in Kolkata. So he met Sister Nivedita. He has written an autobiography, Gandhiji's experiment with Kolkata. So I was telling you the reminiscence connecting to the Ishta Devata. That disciple, he used to go to Swamiji every day. And one day, and he used to say to him, Swamiji, I want to take initiation from you. He used to laugh, okay, it's all right. One day I will think over it. One day he again said, Swamiji, I want to take initiation from you. And suddenly Swamiji said, okay, your day has come. Go and take bath in the Ganges. The Belur Math is on the bank of the Ganges in Kolkata. Beautiful place. So that disciple, he was so happy to hear that I am going to get initiation from great Vivekananda. He rushed, took bath and came back. Swami Vivekananda, he just sat and he entered into meditation. I asked him to sit by side, and then he entered into the meditation, and after a few minutes he opened his eye and took his hand in his hand. And then the disciple writes that he told me many things about this life exactly. Then he told something of previous life which I was not knowing. Then he had shown me the Ishta, literally shown. The Ishta appeared there and he said, he is your Ishta. And then he gave the mantra and told how to practice it. So this is the power of the real gurus. Bringing the Ishtadevata before. So this is the quality. Everyone belongs to one path. Everyone has to go to somewhere after this body. If path is not clear, then the Preta Yoni and all this is there. That's why Pretas more and so much destruction, this terrorism, it is because these Pretas, they fulfill their wishes, they make someone their instrument.
When you say pretas, it means the evil forces?
Not always. Not
What is
always.
pretas?
Preta means one who has not gone to the other abode, other loka. This is called Martya Loka. So there are other spheres, planes. He has not gone. He is still in the surrounding, in the Pranamaya Kosha, moving.
So not gone to the heavenly abode?
Yeah, not gone. So those who are good souls, they also go in the Preta Yoni, because the tradition of 13 days rituals in Hindus after the death, Teravi that is called, no? So it is because normally after coming out of the body, you have attachment to the body. You are not enlightened one. You lived in this body. So you don't leave. You see that your family doing this right, that right, and they have forgotten you in 3-4 days, and you get shocked. Oh, he was saying this, I will live for whole life with you. How is it? These things. So he got detached a little bit. And normally it is said that for 1 year, almost everyone has to remain in that state. Almost 1 year.
The preta state.
Preta state.
1 year.
1 year. So those who are good, suppose one visits one temple regularly and he feels peace there. So such pretas, such souls, they go there. They sit there, they do their japa, chanting, whatever it is they are doing in that body. That is also a body, etheric body, pranamaya body. So they do there. Others, those who are of different tendencies, They go different places. Yes. And once the period is over, then they are taken to their respective place. And even, or they may continue for a very, very long time, years, 100, 200, 1,000 years here. That's why this crossing this is very important. These all are technical things. See, the whole world is scientifically planned. Earth is there, the sun is also there to give the light. Moon has been placed in such a way that in the night that reflects the light of the sun. See the arrangements. Every cell has been designed so wonderfully. So the passage systems have also been designed. Those who in old civilization, especially the rishis, they knew the things. That's why they have made it a ritual, in the form of the ritual that it reaches to everyone. Otherwise, it's very difficult. It is said that one who dies in Kashi, he goes to the heaven. Shiva does it. The Lord of Kashi is Shiva. Kashi is the oldest city on the earth, you know. It is the fact accepted everywhere scientifically. Varanasi is the oldest city on the earth, accepted worldwide. But when I used to read it, I used to think, okay, this is only a saying. The one who dies in the Kashi will go to the God. So there is such a big, huge population living in the Kashi, dying there. They all are going to the God. What is this? It is injustice. But it is not so. Many those who are living don't die in Kashi. Okay, they die somewhere else. And those who have taken birth there, they are also with a reason of previous years, previous birth karmas. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, in his reminiscence, he said, and he is considered as an avatar, he said that he was passing by the Shamshan. He used to live in half superconscious state and little bit in the earthly state, Ramakrishna. Always in moments he used to go in deep samadhi. That was his state. So there he saw with his divine eyes that Shiva himself, Lord Shiva, and the mother Kali, those who were being burned there, they were taking out the soul, removing their knots and freeing them. He saw literally from his eyes. And he then told it. So there are many such subtle things. As I told you, we don't see infrared, we don't see ultraviolet, we don't see X-rays. It doesn't mean these things are not there. As science is discovering, we are using the benefits like mobile. Can you imagine? You talk here, sound travels there, or the TV, or the internet. These are the things which Creator has already put into the place. You have only discovered, known the way, method.